This is the Pro AV Podcast, your B2B show for the best thought leadership in the industry, bringing you education, information, and inspiration. Only on MarketScale.
Nowadays, we put a lot of AV on the ones and zeros.
They want more features, but they want to see less hardware.
Welcome into the third and final episode of MarketScale's Digital Signage Expo 2019 podcast coverage. We talked to a number of thought leaders while we were there at DSE 2019 just to get their thoughts on the industry. And so far, we've talked about data, we've talked about education. And on today's episode, we're really going to focus a lot on interactivity and how that is going to drive the industry forward. Then we're going to talk to Doug Pittman, the founder and CEO of BoardActive, and we're going to talk about the idea for his company, where it came from. He was just driving along the road one day and had this idea when he had a certain experience. And so we're going to talk to him about that and how it's going to change the world of billboards forever. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how he's creating interactivity within billboards. It's really fascinating, and it uses location technology as well.
Doug Pittman with founder and CEO of BoardActive.
I am Cole Cummings, Director of Marketing for BoardActive.
I'm Chris Quirin, and I've got experience in out-of-home, advertising, media marketing, and that's my background. So I'm here as a consultant / customer / advisor.
So you guys have really created something that is unique and allows a little bit more, let's say, interaction, I suppose. Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing at BoardActive.
Yeah. As founder and CEO of the company, I years ago, back in 2012, I was taking my son to Samford University over in Birmingham, Alabama. And we saw a beautiful creative. We saw that a beautiful billboard. But as we drove by that thing, we both looked at each other and said, God, that was an awesome billboard, but what the heck did it say? Who was it? Where are they at? We didn't know anything about those guys, and we weren't going to go up to the next intersection and turn around and come back and look at that billboard. So I said, there's got to be a way in order to bring that brand in connection with that consumer. And at that time in 2012, there was nothing. Geolocation was new, fairly new. The ability to do lat long was fairly new, and the technology was nowhere near what it should be or what it would be now. We knew that. So after a year and a half of marketing research and development on the technical side, I felt like that. Hey, we got something here, and I was told by several people, you really got something if you can make this happen. So what we had to do is bring that brand and that consumer together. And after 7 betas and one V.1, we created a platform named Springer after the Appalachian Trail that now connects brands to consumers.
It's really fascinating. You were explaining Visualmatic to me a little bit earlier. Explain that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, Visualmatic is there's a lot of programmatic companies out there, and those programmatic companies, all are great. Pretty much, they add to the creation of the content of those visual signs, but there was no one anywhere that was connecting those visual signs to the mobile device. And so I come up with a term. I said that, we need to make this a Visualmatic platform, which Visualmatic is a step above the programmatic. So Visualmatic connects those visuals down to mobile so the brand can interact with that consumer. It's an international trademarked product. Our product is international patent pending. It's 4/5 of the way completed, and we're excited about the possibilities of that coming to life in 2019.
It's fantastic. Now, Chris, I'm wondering from your perspective, just how have you seen this increase interactivity with brands and things along those lines?
Well, since I view it from 2 different silos, I think it's important to understand that you have the sign operator, and then you also have the brand. And as I said to Doug when I first met him in New York about 10 months ago now, I guess, I was very excited about what he was doing because it was a disruptor. It was an innovator. And it showed me that there are ways now to take it out of the advertising portfolio, take it out of the marketing and the branding and all that stuff and say, what's it really about? To me, personalization and the communicating in a way that's more about the storytelling was important. And I said to him, I said, you've really taken the brand tissue and become the connective tissue back to the sign. What I see is that as a sign operator, I now have a value proposition. I can say, listen, I actually can show you that we got ROI for you. Okay. From the brand side, I can get better analytics, real-time data, and I can personalize a message and create this conversational tone with the consumer. So it's the best of both worlds as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'm not a software guy. I've never promised to be one. I told my father, I said, I'm not an engineer. Okay. But what I am is a consumer. And I think the consumer experience is what's the most important thing here. We don't have an ability anymore to be conversational with a consumer in a way that's really relevant to creating ROI. And that's what these guys have done. They've bridged that gap. So in my mind, all we need to do now is go to scale. Anybody that has a digital board, or anybody who has any location for that matter, should be utilizing this platform for personalizing their message back to the consumer.
Absolutely. Cole, you're a marketing guy. What's important about combining that digital signage along with a mobile experience when it comes to companies, marketing themselves and advertising?
Oh, yeah. Let me answer that. The biggest problem in out-of-home and digital out-of-home is measuring the efficiency of campaigns and closing that ROI loop. We know so many people pass a billboard, but we don't know what they do after they see the billboard. Do they go to the store location? Do they drive home? What do they do? What our platform does is allow you to create a virtual perimeter around any location, measure foot traffic of that area, and send messages to users when they enter that area. So we can tell you when someone passes by a billboard, if they get that message on their phone, we can show if they actually go to your store location and close that ROI loop. So what our platform does is it helps you get better data on your audience and then use that data to personalize your campaigns and really tailor targeted messages to the people that matter to your brand.
Yeah, that's really important. And as much as this has been a show about digital signage, to me it's increasingly one about analytics and data. Is that an important aspect to what you do?
Oh, no doubt about it. The ability to show that you could take any visual and bring that down to a point-of-sale system and show that visual brought a sale, that's just critical. And then a retailer or a restaurant or whatever it is can take that point-of-sale and do a report showing that visual actually did produce some sales through that platform. That's powerful. There's nothing else out there in the market that does that, and we know that. We don't just do billboards for sure. We do any kind of location. It can be a mall. It can be a movie theater. It can be any area. It doesn't really matter. We hit car dealerships. We hit movie theaters. So our platform is available for any brand that wants to personalize. And I've stated many times to a lot of these show heads that basically we're turning the advertising term into a new term, and that new term is it's not advertising anymore, it's personalizing. It's going to be a personalizing relationship, one-on-one, and we know that. I think we just won or got an innovation award, top 5 innovation award over in Europe. We've been invited to come over to Europe and London in November to possibly get the top innovation award for 2019 in the Hospitality and Restaurant Association. That's big.
Yeah.
All the big QSRs, it's a no-brainer for QSRs. I mean, if they're not getting our platform, then they're missing the point. They're missing the consumer.
Absolutely. Chris, was there something you wanted to add kind of during that conversation?
Yeah, I think when we talk about engagement, okay, that's really, and you brought it up originally. I'm sorry, you brought it up originally. You said something about data. Data is the new mantra in marketing. Data is going to be the driver in all things that anybody in marketing is going to be looking at. Because accountability and transparency are the big buzzwords these days.
Right.
And I think that's really, at the end of the day, I even said to Doug earlier, I said, DSE is missing out on something here. If they had our platform, geofencing this situation, at any given time, I can get a personalized message from any booth in here. Okay, that's a pretty impressive play. If I have a DSE app and I get this SDK in front of it, we're going to be able to. And I've said as another part of our relationship, and one where we're looking at expanding at some point was, this is almost like a Trojan horse. You come in, and now all of a sudden, if I've got a location like this, geofence, instant alert system.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different touch points on this, but the reality comes down to one thing. And Doug said it best. Personalization is the new word, and then going to be the new way you capture the new consumer. The consumer behavior has changed dramatically. The data on that is you see brick and mortar closing at an incredibly rapid rate. Part of it is the cost of labor. But the user experience has to be better, and that's what this creates, a much better user experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned this before we started recording, but it was important for you to create this platform in a way that wasn't spamming people, but they were getting the things that they wanted to receive.
Yeah, we've created something that's really, really cool. It's the ability to, everybody, there are push notification companies out there, and that's fine. But what we have done is we have really disrupted the market with the ability to let the consumer control what they get. We call it pull notifications.
Yeah.
So a consumer can pull any information they want from that brand. Not just one push, it's a pull notification. So the ability to actually sell a ticket or actually sell a product is available through BoardActive now.
I'll give you a quick example. We use this all the time. Doug told you about how we came to be, talking about this in general, taking his kid to school, missing a billboard. Mm-hmm. But now, the next step in that process is, let's say for the sake of argument, instead of getting spammed with a lot of email, which I despise. I got more junk in my email box than I care to think about. And the amount of junk mail you get and the amount of prank phone calls you get now, you're getting spammed all day long.
All day long.
That's why personalization is so important. It beats that portion of it. It's an opt-in relationship. It's a smoother relationship. 20 people drive by a billboard that's got a McDonald's on it. 10 of them are receptive to taking that ad, but 7 of them actually act on that ad. Mm-hmm. That now shows you the ROI. We have a 35% lift in actual, from visualization, the Visualmatic, down to, boom, return on investment. And from a brand's perspective, that's the most important thing we can ask for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the one thing that we've really, really have listened to the consumers, and this product was built from a consumer perspective, for brands. The brand's creativity is going to be the key here. If they have a creative team in order to make this really, really a great product for themselves, they have the ability to do that. If they feel like that their marketing team is really powerful, this is a very simple process. Our platform is very simple for them to add those creatives and engage those consumers. And that's what it's all about nowadays. It's not about how much advertising dollars you can spend. We'll take those advertising dollars, but you don't need it anymore. We've given a platform that's very simple, very easy. Brands can private label our product. They can use it as powered by BoardActive, and we can be silent. I mean, we're doing licensing agreements with big firms. There's a couple of big ones that I could announce down the road. We're going to be announcing that they're doing licensing agreements as we speak. They're negotiating those. So there's some really big things happening with BoardActive for the brands. And it's out. It's now available, and the one thing that I can say is our product works. Yeah. It absolutely works.
Well, and what's interesting is this seems to be, as you were talking a second ago about just about retail and brick and mortar struggling and that sort of thing. This seems to kind of bridge that gap that exists between e-commerce and brick and mortar. Allowing them to have access to personalization and things like that didn't exist before. Really.
Yeah, the ability to enhance an app. For an in-app enhancement through their own creative sources is big. We have made apps as more powerful as a website. Mm-hmm. We have the ability to engage those consumers, and we have the ability to keep those consumers. That's the key. We also have the ability to do social sharing. So with BoardActive's platform, not only do they connect with their consumers, that consumer can share with new customer prospects. The ability to engage with that brand also.
Yeah. Cole, from your perspective, how important is it for people that are marketing to have this data that tells them who their customers are and what they're looking for specifically? How powerful of a tool is that for marketers?
Oh, well, obviously, it's super powerful. The biggest thing about marketing is knowing who you're talking to. As consumers, we hate irrelevant content. We reject it. I don't care about ads that have a bra on the sign, but if it's about football, I pay attention to it. And knowing that I like football is super powerful data. What our software lets you do is really just enhance your app. It's such a big problem with brands who put so much time and energy and money into creating this mobile real estate. And then they get these users that come in, use their app for a week, and then uninstall. And what we do is we help you know who that user is and keep them engaged and turn that download into revenue. So that's what we're trying to do.
That's huge. It seems like y'all are doing some big stuff and have some exciting things coming up on the horizon. So really exciting stuff, and I'm glad that we got to sit down and have a chat.
Yeah. In closing, I would like to say that, I appreciate you allowing us to be here. You're a fellow backpacker and backcountry hiker, and I am also that. I love the Colorado Rockies, and I love the Appalachian Trail, and as a matter of fact, we have named our platform after Appalachian Trail. Some of the key points we started at as an Appalachian Trail backpacker. We started at Amicalola Falls in Georgia. And that's a 2,200 mile track all the way up to Mount Katahdin in Maine. Whew. So as we develop our new versions, which includes augmented reality, virtual, holographics, 3D down the road, which is part of our patent that we filed, brands and consumers and the ad media companies will see us track along that Appalachian Trail. We're going to be naming our platform after some of those really, really key places all along the trail. So, we have adding a little fun to it, and our staff loves it. We've got some young millennials that are hikers, and
sure.
So being an enthusiast, I love the fact that we are using that as our marketing piece.
Yeah, and it allows clients to kind of go on that journey along with you as they see it kind of moving on up and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, eventually I'll start putting some of my cooler pictures out there, and hopefully I'll be in those cooler pictures as I'm hiking up that trail.
Absolutely.
I haven't been able to do that in the last couple of years because of this product, but I'll get back to it.
Yeah, you'll get back out there. Well, guys, thank you so much for swinging by and having a conversation with me, and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you, Tyler. We appreciate you.